In this video we're going to make an elephant. He stands up by himself and is all dressed up ready for the parade. You can decorate him however you want. For this video, use paper to keep things clean, some ready-mix paint, some white glue, PVA type, some fancy papers, a few sequins, 2 googly eyes, some extra little bits of card and scissors, a felt tip pen, a glue stick, pinking shears for cutting fancy edges, a pot for the glue and paint mix, an old milk bottle that's completely empty and washed. To start, we'll cover the table with some paper in case we get messy. We'll put that elephant out of the way and we'll look at our milk bottle. Now, a lot of people say when they look at a milk bottle, they can't see an elephant, but I can. And I think if you look very closely, you'll see you can, because here's his trunk and each of the corners is going to be one of his legs. To make it easier to cut it out, and you will need a grown-up's help for this one, don't forget, I'm going to draw a line all the way round, and that's the line that his feet will come down to. The bottom half of the bottle we won't use at all. So we're going to have to cut that one out first. And we'll need an old normal pair of scissors, because although this is plastic, it's not thick plastic. It's quite possible to cut through it. I've squeezed it and squeezed it until I can get my scissors through there. Once you've got them through, you can get them into the hole and cut all the way around quite easily, just like cutting out material. But a grown-up's help is very, very useful for this. When it comes to the trunk, flatten it and just snip through. That bit we don't want for this job. This bit we do. Then we want the felt tip pen again. Get the bottle into the right shape and think of that as the front leg. So there's a gap before the back leg. There's the back leg. There's a back leg. There's a gap before the front leg. Between the front legs, there's another gap. And between the back legs, there's another gap. So all of those gaps need to be cut away, again with your scissors and again with a grown-up's help to be on the safe side. So cut round that flap. If you're really, really good and clever at making things, these flaps could become the ears, but I'm not going to do that today because it is a little bit difficult to get them fixed on. You'd need some strong sticky tape, but you could do it. So that's the gap between the front legs, that's the gap between his right-hand side legs. And then the one at the back can go all the way round and it's gone. You can check that, make sure you've got your legs all the same length, and he looks now quite like an elephant. Just make sure he's going to balance, not too wobbly. That's fantastic. It's amazing how quickly that happens. Now I've mixed some white PVA glue with some ready-mix paint, and I might be going to get my hands a little bit dirty, but it doesn't matter. You can paint that on quite thick. Enjoy that painting, get it on right to the very edges, right down to his toes, right round his nose, round his back. When it's all smoothed on, use it really thick. It's going to take a while to dry, isn't it? And you're going to have to be patient while that dries. And when it's all dry, you can start making him into your very own special elephant with individual designs and decorations. You could cover him in tissue paper if you prefer it to do it that way, but this paint, when it's got the PVA glue added in with it, seems to go on quite nicely. Just to sort of smooth it out so we don't see the brush strokes too much. But elephant skin is wrinkly. I've seen an elephant quite close to, and they are quite wrinkly old fellas. There it is, right under his trunk, right up to the top. I think this elephant's got a sort of hat on because this is a parade elephant. There we go. Keep smoothing. Once that's dry, you might decide you want to add another layer. It's up to you. That'll be fine. But if you want to make it really, really special, you could put another coat of paint on later. And keep on painting until it's just the way you want it, and then leave it to dry. When it's dry, and we're going to have to pretend that it's dry, you can decorate it. So if we look at our first elephant, we can see he's got a nice bit of a collar round his crown. So that just needs to be a bit of tissue paper. Measure it roughly to the right size. I don't want to get too much paint on there. I'm going to use my special pinking shears that cut out zigzags to cut an edge to there that's fancy. And then glue it onto itself, right round his hat. And that looks lovely. Looks like he's got a crown on. Perhaps it's the king of the elephants. There. And this one's got a sort of blanket hanging down all the way around him. So I've got some more pieces of lovely colourful tissue paper this is. I'm going to cut it to size along the bottom with my zigzaggy shears, up there with plain ones, plain down there, and then just glue that on. And if you want to add a few sequins on, like the orange elephant has, that looks even better. Sequins we can get from scrap store, or perhaps Grandma's got some in the bottom of her bit box. Tail, just a little bit of felt or a little bit of paper and glue, and stick that on behind. Eyes, again, a little bit of glue. Oops, that'll hold it in place. One eye here. And he starts to look quite realistic. Good enough to put on the mantelpiece, I think, or on your bookshelf. You could make a whole family of elephants. If you find different bottle sizes, you could have large pint bottles, middle-sized bottles, and little tiny bottles. And you could have a whole family of elephants walking along your windowsill. And there he is, finished. Hello. Hi. Hey, I'm off to run away and get into the circus. Have you heard if there's any good jobs? Don't fancy the circus. You get pushed around. I want to go back and be a wild elephant. For more exciting ideas, check out my channel, Scrap Magic.